Don't you think it's our responsibility? It is our mission to increase the financial thermostat for our family and for the people around us, right? To to help them think bigger, to put them on a higher platform as a starting base, not just from a financial standpoint, certainly from a financial standpoint, but not just that, but from going out every single day and providing incredible value to the marketplace, not because we're getting a paycheck to do it, but because it's inside of us, because it's who we are. It's because it's what we have to do. We're just built differently. We're just born with a different brain. That we said, you know what, I'm not going to just go and sit in a row every single day and do what I'm told and show up when I'm supposed to. I'm going to go and I'm going to be in control of the time I have on this planet. I'm going to be the one in control of how much value I provide, right? Easy equation. Income equals the amount of value you provide to the marketplace. That's it. That's what it is. That's why we live in this unbelievable country that gives us the ability to do that. So every single day we have the opportunity to go and elevate our family, elevate our situation, elevate our financial literacy. And I'm telling you, I've been through all of these books, right? I've been through and I've read through all the books and I'm looking through all the nuggets. And when I was starting out at 18 years old, and I read Rich Dad Poor Dad, and it took me on the path to really trying to discover how can I provide value to the world, and how could I do it through real estate? Because I knew that with real estate, it was going to be something that was evergreen. It was going to be something that was going to be consistent. It was going to be something that I can continually build on. It would be something that would be challenging. It wouldn't be something that I could master quickly. It'd be something that took a really long time to establish some principles, to establish some fundamental facts. Some might call it some golden rules. And that's what we're going to be going over today. I have taken the last 20 years. I started in 2004. I read Rich Dad Poor Dad in 2000, and went through college and did that. And really, by the time college was coming to an end, I saw, okay, I better figure this out now. Right? There's no more time to be educated. It's time to be instructed. It's time to go out there and take massive imperfect action and try to be a really excellent real estate entrepreneur. And because of that, I made a tremendous amount of mistakes. I foreclosed on 5 properties. I lost absolutely everything. I had $0 in my account. I mean, I was negative, negative, negative. I owed $740,000 on a judgment that I had against me. I owed probably another $150,000 in business credit cards and personal credit cards, and lost it all. And that's what it really boiled this down. I want to filter this down to real experience. This isn't. And some people write books and they've never done it, and I get it. So you got to be careful with that. But these 10 golden rules, I am telling you, you implement it into your business and make it fundamental, and you will increase your value every single day. Not only that, you're going to increase your net worth every single day that you go out there and take that action. Because remember, it's about progress, not perfection. All right. We've got an incredible show for you guys, by the way. We've got Tom Kroll back to give us unbelievable business knowledge. We've got Zach Keeps, the $90 million man himself. He's got $90 million in equity in his real estate portfolio, like real equity, not fake. He's really well known. He's got a great reputation. And then we're going to cap it off with Henry Washington, Mr. Bigger Pockets himself. Absolutely incredible. He's got a great portfolio. He flips, he wholesales, he does it all. So stick around. The show is going to be absolutely a banger today. So let's get into the 10, the golden rules here. The 10. Number 10 is just because you can. Let me tell you this. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. Just because you could lock up that deal at 150 when you know that you need to get it at 105 doesn't mean you should. Just because you can go in and lie to the seller about your experience, lie to them that you're the actual buyer, lie to them about anything, doesn't mean that you should. right? We're truth tellers, not and truth seekers, right? Truth tellers, truth seekers. That's something that I learned from Todd Toback, incredible mentor. But just because you can doesn't mean you should. Guys, you have to be honest with the property owners. All right? You have to be honest with what you can actually get the deal done for. There is going to be times, and I'm telling you, I've done this myself. There's going to be times where, you're like, okay, I could lock this up for 130. Once I get it locked up, because I've got competition saying that they're at 125, I'll lock it up at 130, and then I'll start beating them up so I can get them down to 110, 115. That makes sense. Don't do it. It is building your business on top of sand, and it never works. All right. Be a truth teller, truth seeker when you're speaking with the property owners. And another thing that I see here with this, just because you can, there's a lot of ways that we can get creative. There's a lot of ways that we could put deals together to say that we put together this amazing seller financed or creative finance deal, but we shouldn't, because it doesn't make sense. The win is not, hey, did I make this happen and I was super creative and and I was able to own this property now. Because oftentimes when we get into really creative, we buy bad properties and we end up not being able to afford those properties, and those properties turn into a nightmare. So just because we can doesn't mean that we should. Make sure that you're locking up really good deals, making sure that you keep your standards really high on the properties that you want to own and the deals that you want to flip. Okay? Awesome. Next, own the red hotel, right? This is a classic monopoly. The greenhouses are fantastic, but the end game is the red hotel. Own a big asset that you can pay down, own free and clear, really own this thing that has tremendous cash flow. I'm talking commercial buildings, I'm talking big multifamily, I'm talking about maybe it's mobile home parks. Maybe it's some big businesses that you own, whatever it is, but own the red hotel. Okay, that is the absolute goal, is to get to the point where you're owning one or two or three really big assets at the end of this thing. That is the end goal. All right. I'm telling you, the people that own the big buildings versus the people that own a lot of little buildings, the lifestyle is much different. All right. It is much different. So focus on owning the red hotel. Focus on finding that one huge asset that you're rolling towards in your career all the time, all the time, all the time. All right. The red hotel. Got it. Next, recognizing potential is the difference between the people that make a little bit of money, a lot of money, and a fortune. All right. Recognizing potential is all about doing a lot of deals, reviewing a lot of opportunities, being a student to the market, being a student to your specific business, being a student to what's going on. When you wholesale a property, if you're a wholesaler and you're looking at what you need to follow those properties and look at what is the exit strategies that the other investors are using for this property. Are they fixing it up? How are they fixing it up? What does that look like? Are they building on a new piece of land? What does that look like? Are they buying a certain opportunity and turning it into something else? What does that look like? You need your curiosity to be at a level 10 every single day. That's going to help you recognize potential in deals that other people can't see. For example, I remember early on in 2014, there was a lot in Phoenix here, just down the road from my office actually, and we locked it up for $42,000, and we sold it for $62,000. And I was like, "Holy cow! We just made $20,000 on this vacant lot. This is bananas! Oh my gosh, we are geniuses!" And then the guys that we sold it to one of their builders for 162,000. We got it for 42,000, sold it for 62. They made another $100,000 on that lot. Why? Because they knew the potential of that lot. It was zoned multifamily. They had a multifamily investor that was looking in that area, and they were able to make an additional $100,000. Now these guys were 5-7 years ahead of me in the game of wholesaling, of really building relationships with cash buyers. So I didn't know. I couldn't. I didn't recognize the potential of this property. But the more deals that you do, the more that you stay focused on doing a lot of deals and reviewing a lot of deals and staying curious about your market and really getting educated and really understanding the ebb and flow of the economy and the real estate markets, you're going to find unbelievable deals. And that's how you go and start leveling up. That's how you start as a wholesaler and then a flipper, and then you're putting together maybe some development deals, or maybe you're buying really big buildings and you're raising a ton of funds and you're doing amazing things out there. There's a stair step all the way up. All the way up. And the more experience that you have, the more that you're going to be able to recognize potential. Guess what? Your kids inherit that wisdom if they want. Who knows? You never know. Your kids might want to be a doctor or an attorney or a teacher or whatever else. Let them live their lives. But whoever's coming behind you, whoever you're mentoring, whoever's going to be your apprentice at some point, it's going to happen, is going to take advantage of all that knowledge that you have, and it's going to level them up even higher and higher and higher. It's awesome. All right. Next, location matters. Guys, listen to me. 14% of this country is occupied. 14%. Why? Because that's where there's infrastructure. That's where there's utilities. That's where there's economy. That's where there is growth. Buy properties in areas that appreciate. Let me say that again. Buy properties in areas that appreciate. All right. This is such a fundamental, right? It's location, location, location is the golden rule of real estate for a reason. But there's only certain places that are desirable. Buy assets that are desirable. You can buy diamonds or you can buy quartz. You know what I'm saying? Like there's different values there. There's different ways that those are going to appreciate over time. So make sure that you're buying in areas where people really want there's a high desirability for those properties. Okay? And the reason I say this is I cannot tell you how many people have been absolutely crushed by going and buying those turnkey rentals in the middle of Memphis or Indianapolis or Pittsburgh or Birmingham or wherever else, where you're like, oh, the cash flow is amazing. It's amazing. It's not. And I'll prove it to you. I will prove it to you in just a second on number 5. I think it's number 5. Yes, number 5 here with a very specific example. But I'm telling you guys, buy in areas that are appreciating, buy in areas that are very desirable, and really good school districts. That's really the core of it. As long as you buy in really good school districts, you can assume that the infrastructure is there for a really long time, and you're going to have a really good long-term investment. All right. Next, ugly houses, big checks, baby. That used to be the name of the show. It was a little bit crude. I'm going to be honest. It was a little, I was kind of in my crude moment. I was kind of in my punch you in the face and just rattle you and be like, stop messing around with these beautiful properties. They're not going to sell to you. That was my attempt at it, but it is the truth. The uglier the property, the more opportunities. That's it. The more that a property needs investment, the more that you can get really, really, really excellent discounts. I'll give you an example of something that happened Friday. We went to a property that the cars are pulled up into the side, so you can't go through the side yard. Like I don't even know how they got them. These cars don't run. They must have pushed them over there. The house was burnt down. I mean, it burnt from the inside. It burnt the kitchen, burnt the garage. All of it's boarded up, plywood everywhere, and the backyard's a junkyard. Absolute junkyard. Now, this property totally fixed up goes for about 325. It's not the biggest house here in Phoenix, but it goes for 325 fixed up. That's a pretty conservative comp. We got it for 110, right? Because it's going to need significant. That's 30%. That's 30 cents on the dollar of what it'll go for once it's fixed up. Why? Because it needs everything. It needs somebody that's going to go in there, has experience, is going to fix it up, make it look beautiful, and revive the neighborhood. And I'm telling you this, just as a side note, this is just something that I feel. When you see one of those properties that is a total junkyard, or it's a fire damaged property, it's destroyed, and that gets turned around, and you see it on the MLS, you see it staged, you see it looking beautiful, you know that somebody's going to buy that house, live in it, and love it. That is one of the greatest feelings of all time. because you know that you were the spark that found the investment to put into that neighborhood. Now the neighborhood doesn't have to drive by that house that's been burnt for 6 months, right? And it's just a complete eyesore and it's terrible. And the neighbors, that next door neighbor sold for 475. The next door neighbor sold for 475. It's got a house that is totally burnt down with cars everywhere in a junkyard, right? Don't you think that that 475 neighbor is like, oh my gosh, thank you, thank you. We have people come up all the time when we're walking around properties. They're like, please buy this, please fix this up, please, please, please. We're waiting for somebody to do it. It's awesome. The uglier the house, the bigger the checks. That's just a fact. So get used to going on appointments where it's going to be uncomfortable. It's going to smell. It's going to have a lot of pets and animals and exotic animals at that. Sometimes you're going to walk into an absolute farm or a zoo, right? Sometimes you're going to walk into somebody that smoked 1 million cigarettes inside the house. You're going to walk into properties that, people have just filled with junk and junk and junk, but that is the opportunity. That is where you get really, really great deals. Right here. Listen, if you want to get rich, you flip. You flip. You either flip the paper or you flip the property, right? You either wholesale and assign, or you buy that property and you sell it as is, or you flip it. That's how you get cash. All right. Rent is how you get wealthy. Now, let me break this down and give you very specific, because I think that this is very important to know. And this took me a lot of time because I kept screwing up the math, but I got it done. And I think that this will really illuminate what a rental looks like from a real perspective. Okay, so let's go over here. But this is called a rental pro forma. Basically, what is the financial breakdown of a rental property? And I'm going to make some assumptions, not assumptions, but I'm going to just set the table. All right. It's going to be a $250,000 rental property. I think that that's fair. I think if you look across the board, across the country, it's probably right in the sweet spot. Now, they say that the average median sale price is like 363 or something for single family houses. But I think most people, kind of buy in the starter areas for rentals, right? So we're going to put 20% down. Now, listen, the numbers get affected a little bit if you're 10% or 15, but it really doesn't affect it that much. You'd be really surprised. But I'm just saying, from a traditional standpoint, 20% down. All you creative guys, knock it off. I get it. There's a lot of other opportunities. This is just a traditional real estate rental. We're going to go with 6% annual appreciation. All right. We're going to go with 2% annual rent increase. All right. You're just increasing the rent 2%. This is all, you can Google all this stuff. I did it. I'm going to go 4 months vacancy. That's because the average tenant stays in a property 2.5 years. So over a 10-year period, and that's what I'm doing here. This is a 10-year breakdown of this rental property. Over 10 years, there's 4 months of vacancy, right, that you have to take into account. You're not getting 120 months of rent. You're getting 116. 3.63 is your depreciation, right? That's your annual depreciation that you can write off on your taxes. That just lowers your tax basis. It's not a dollar for dollar savings. It just lowers your tax basis. And I'll show you that. And if you have questions about it, please ask, because this is one of the most like, oh, I buy real estate and I don't pay taxes. Stop. You have to own a ridiculous amount of real estate to not pay taxes. And if you do advanced acceleration, you are stuck. Your options are really limited, or accelerated appreciation. And this is self-managed. Okay, this isn't even doing a 10% property management fee. All right, look at the numbers here. First, 10 years later, value 447,711. That's at 6% appreciation. Very typical in the major markets. Very, very typical. Your loan is now paid down. You had a $200,000 loan because you put $50,000 down. You got an 80% loan. Now it's at $169,000. You now have $277,000 in equity, baby. Woo! Over 10 years. Over 10 years. This took 10 years to get here, but now you have 277,000. That's why you can see you own 4 of them, you're a millionaire. You get that, right? Everybody kind of gets that math. You're over, the net worth is over $1 million. That is wealth. Net worth is wealth. But let's look at the cash flow. Let's look at the reality of cash flow. Your rental income over that time, 116 payments, because 4 months are vacant to fix them up and turn them over. You've got rental income here of $256,240. Your mortgage on this, PITI. You guys really have to understand this as real estate entrepreneurs, what PITI means. Principal, interest, taxes, insurance. This is your total payment. It's not just your mortgage payment. You have to pay interest and taxes. That's all lumped into your payment. So really remember this if you're brand new to real estate, PITI. The maintenance on it is $25,000, okay? That's just overall, about 1% of what you bought it for a year. Over 10 years is about 25,000. That gives you a cash flow. By the way, this I didn't include in here because it kind of varies, but there is turnover costs typically of about $3,500. That when the new tenants go out, you paint it, you carpet, and that type of thing. So that could be another 14,000. I didn't include it in here, but just remember that it's there. I kind of just left it because there's some other things that could affect the total cash flow on this thing. So I just left it even. Anyway, cash flow. 43,920,000. Depreciation over 10 years, $22,000. Here's your total cash flow a year for the 10 years, 65,000. That's $6,592 in cash flow a year. Are you out of the rat race? Are you just done and dusted with your job? No, you're not. But I'll tell you what, this is nice. This part's nice, right? This is the part that we roll into our red hotel at some point, right? You know what I mean? But the cash flow from a single family rental is not going to get you out. I mean, you would have to own 200 of them, 300 of them. You know what I mean? So remember that when you're looking at investment properties. And this is in appreciating areas. If you're not getting that appreciation, there's no reason to buy. Except for maybe debt pay down. But then the cost of keeping it up and everything, buy in appreciating areas. All right? If you want to get rich, flip. You want to get wealthy, own, rent. This is how you build the real wealth here, right? This is how you keep yourself disciplined from going out and spending that money, baby. Going and spending that, increasing your lifestyle. Put it into assets. Put it into assets and forget about it. Done, right? But you're not living off of the cash flow. Remember that. All right, next. Guys, we are 6 minutes away from Tom Kroll. 6 minutes away from your coach, my coach, Tom Kroll. He is the absolute man. He's a cyborg now. He's losing internal organs left and right. It doesn't matter. He's here. He's ready. In 6 minutes, he's going to be on here. Next, you make money when you buy. You make money when you buy. That's the absolute fact. You make money when you buy it, not when you sell it. Buy good deals. Buy good deals. Don't be like, well, in 10 years, this is going to be amazing. Stop. Get good deals. That's what we're doing. We're deal finders. So that's the whole skill of this. If you want to be in real estate for a long time, well, I'll just go to it. Then you got to be a deal finder. That's what makes you market proof. That's what makes you economy proof. That's the skill that you build. Take away everything. Take away your money. Take away your current pipeline of opportunities. Your skills. They can't take that. They can't take that. So be market proof and build your skills of finding the best deals. I don't care if they're on the market, off the market, if they're an auction, if they're tax liens, if they're any of those things. Find the deals. I like finding deals just in my backyard. I like going, oh, that's an ugly house. I should probably talk to the owner of that property. Oh, I talked to the owner. They do want to sell. Okay, let's start these negotiations. This is not rocket science, but it's something that is a skill. And we have to go out there and we have to continuously speak to new people, talk to new people, right? But deal finders are market proof. You build the skill of finding deals, you are unstoppable. That's why we have the Rhino. That's the whole charging Rhino. Where is it? Here we go. I mean, it's kind of a tiny Rhino, but you get it, right? Be a big 5,000-pound charging rhinoceros and finding deals. You do that, you win. You win long term. Number two is be the bank. The top of the pyramid in all of this in real estate is the bank. It's the bank. If you go into a mortgage calculator, I was going to pull it up, but we're getting tight here. If you look at a mortgage calculator and you look at what the total payments are, how much interest you actually pay on your home, it's more than double than what you bought it for. Now it's over 30 years, but the banks understand that when you lend on an asset, you win, right? Because if they don't pay, then you get the asset, and hopefully they just do pay, and you turn it over to a servicing company that you pay a fraction to, and then you're out. Be the bank. I'm telling you, some of the best investments I have currently are just investments that I help people that are doing flips, or they want to do some buy and holds that they're going to keep, and they have a 3-year balloon, but they're paying me 12% a year on these things, doing nothing. I literally just get checks wired to me, not even checks, just wires, money wired to me every single month from several different loans that I have out right now. Passive cash flow. They're not at risk. They're in unbelievable stable conditions and with really great operators. Being the bank is awesome. You want to talk about mailbox money? Go go do a little study on hard money lending businesses. Go look at the profitability on hard money lending businesses. They they go out there and they get all the doctors, attorneys, CEOs to put money into their fund at 8%. They then lend it out at 12%, so they get 4%. Plus, they get fees every time they make a loan. So they get all these fees, they get 4% arbitrage, none of their own money. Zero money into these things. Isn't that bananas? Ooh, I hope the wheels are turning. That's the path that I'm going down. Owning a hard money business for sure. And the last one, guys, here's the thing. Conversations and offers. I wore the TTP shirt today because listen, if you talk to enough people, you're going to win. The more conversations you have, the more offers you make, the more the more money you're going to make, the more impact you're going to have. So we need to build machines. We need to build systems. We need to find the people that are going to have quality conversations with property owners every single day and make offers. Because the more you do that, the more money you're going to make. The more money you make, the more your lifestyle is going to increase, the more your debts are going to go down, and the more that you're going to be able to buy a ton of assets and build real long-term wealth. That's what we're talking about. That's the whole path. That's the whole plan of being in real estate. That's the whole cash flow quadrant in Rich Dad Poor Dad. That's the whole balance sheet and income statements from it. How can we increase our income so that we can decrease our consumer debt, so that we can increase our lifestyle and also increase our asset column on our balance sheet? More offers. That's it. That's it. That's why it's number one. Just make more offers. Just make more offers. That's it. I love you guys. This is fun. This is fun. This was fun to put together. This is fun to put together. It wasn't as instructional, but I think that there's some fundamentals here that are absolutely required. From Port St. Lucie, Florida, he's got the brightest room and the brightest mind in real estate and coaching. It's Tom Kroll.
Bam!
Thanks for being on here early and seeing my 30-minute rant here.
I love it. I'm so inspired. I want to, brother, so many good points. It reminded me of something that I learned from Robert Kiyosaki. And first of all, it's just good to see you.
You
Every
too.
time I see you, you look like you're younger and healthier. I love it. You must be doing the right thing, right? Because it's a beautiful reflection you got there. So it's funny. One of the reasons that what you're saying works, right? One of the things I recognized early on, right? Because I started the same way. I want to have my feet in the sand and live off passive income from single family rentals.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I've learned in business, Brent, is that your largest financial losses. When we get old and you and I are playing chess in the park and we've got our little sweater on and we're sitting there and we're playing, our largest financial losses are going to come from selling assets. I don't care who you are, investor, not investor. You talk to your grandparents. Their largest financial losses came from selling assets. What do wealthy people do, guys? Now, this is a little complex, but if you can get this, this is a propellant. This is an accelerator for you right now. What Brent is talking about, just to put a finer point on it, wealthy people don't buy and sell, they buy and hold, or they buy and trade up.
Yep.
So here's what we're talking about when he's saying the red hotel, right? Let me put it in my kindergarten brain. What that means is there's so many beautiful things. Number one, right? When you own a $800,000 rental, let's just say, and somebody else owns a $100,000 rental. In a bad market, when the housing market dips 3%, the bad home dips 5 or 7%. The beautiful home dips like half a point, maybe 1 point, right? When
Yep.
you're in a good market, right? Why does Robert teach us money goes to money, right? In a good market, when the housing market goes up 3%, the beautiful $800,000 home goes up 5%. The crappy home goes up 1%. It doesn't really budge year after year after year. So it's the general principle here, as far as I'm concerned, is you don't buy and sell, you buy and hold, or you buy and trade up. Once you've realized your gain, Sam Zell 101, no one's ever gone broke taking a profit. Take your profit and trade up. And if you're really smart, you do that in a self-directed Roth IRA. And if
Hmm.
you're uber intelligent, smart, and you want to go from rich to wealthy, you do what's called a 1031 exchange. And guys, if you don't know what the self-directed Roth IRA account is and you don't know what a 1031 exchange is, don't worry. I don't either. I have no idea what I'm talking about. You know why? Because I know I don't know what I'm talking about. So what Robert taught me is be the captain of the ship.
Yep.
Don't mess with the navigator. Don't go down and mess with the engineers. Don't mess with the staff who's running the whole ship. You're in a cruise ship, be the captain. You're going to get information and be decisive and making information. There are people who have training and certificates and things on the wall. They don't have all these love letters from clients, right? They've got like college degree, right? Whatever it's called. They've got all kinds of trainings. They do this so they can service you. They can provide this service to you.
Yep.
They'll set up a 1031 exchange, whatever the heck that means. Here's all I need to know about a 1031 exchange. I sell a house. Somebody does something with a 1031 exchange, and I buy another house to upgrade, and I don't pay taxes. That's all I know.
That's it.
Don't ask me how to set it up. I can't send you the contract or the paperwork. I don't even know if there is one. I mean, brother,
I
brilliant.
remember I remember being 18, Tom, and reading Rich Dad Poor Dad, and he was talking about his rich dad is sitting there and he's wearing basically like schlubby clothing. Everybody else is in suits, and it's all his attorneys and his CPAs and his wealth advisors, and all these
Yeah,
guys are there for him.
right.
And they're all smart at what they do, and he just adds to his team and gets out of the way. And it's the absolute truth, right? Our
Quinn
job
Sullivan.
is to go out there and bring in the income and find opportunities.
Yeah, and like you say, talk to people.
That's
Yeah,
it.
yeah, it's really, guys. Stop hanging out with the wrong people. Start hanging out with the right people. It's so easy. Don't get in your own way. Don't overcomplicate this. Follow really, really simple principles. Every single wealthy person that Brent and I know, they went through a season of outworking everyone else around them. Every single person did what the market loved. The people who caused and are in the most suffering, they do what they love, right? I want this. I want, no, 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 no. Take the arrow in front of you, and point it towards the market. Do what the market loves. And in that good work, you will find things that you love. There's 1,000 things that Brent and I love about what we do in a day. I mean, you could just look at Brent; he loves it, right? But the bottom line is, it didn't start with what you know. Here's what what do they say? The silliest advice I ever. There's so much silly advice out there. The grass is not greener. Yes, it is. The grass is greener on the other side. Don't keep your friends close and your enemies closer than you keep. That's garbage advice. You keep your friends close and don't bring your enemies in. I mean,
Yep.
all of these antidotes are not really true. And one of them is do what you love and you'll never work a day in your life is just not no. Do what the market loves and you'll work every day until you die and it'll be a beautiful life and you'll have real generational wealth.
I
So
love it.
yeah, it's and the thing with these houses, everybody, these houses, these 800, $600,000, brother, guys, these are the best tenants. Everyone's so concerned with cash flow. They cash flow, but the equity, your personal net worth, it's through the roof. Your access to capital, your mobility, your transportation, your options. What is wealth? Wealth is more options, better options. That is what wealth is. Wealth is comparative. You either have more options and they're awesome, or you have fewer options and they all stink. That's all that wealth is. Success is different, but yeah, if
Guys, I went to Tom's house and he's got this big whiteboard on the same wall that his camera is right now.
yeah,
And he had on there different rental properties that he owned. And every time that he got paid, and this is a conversation that you had with Julie,
yeah.
right? Your wife, and you guys would pay down the debts
Oh,
on those properties, right? You
oh yeah.
guys, I mean, it was a huge goal when you were building businesses and you were wholesaling and you were doing all the different income streams that you had all funneled down to that whiteboard of paying off your debts on real estate. Why would you do that, Tom? I mean, leverage, right? It's
Oh,
all about leverage. It's about leverage. It's about
yeah.
banks. It's about debt. It's about those type of things. So
You
why
know,
why would you do that? You know what I mean?
this is all about who you have to be
Hmm.
as you are doing these activities. Because if that's not changing, I got a call from a guy that a lot of you guys know. This is the third or fourth call in the past maybe 8 weeks, 2 months or so. Um, Popular person, ever most people on this live are know who this person is. Dead broke.
Hmm.
Dead broke. You know why, Julie and I? Let me give you my big fancy, never got past 1,000 SAT answer to this question. You know why Julie and I paid off? Because entrepreneurs can't live on a budget. We don't like it. We have like a problem with authority. I don't know what it is exactly.
Yeah.
Right. So we're not the Dave Ramsey crowd. The whole like live on a budget and don't go out to rush. Yeah, right.
I'll
Yeah,
just increase my income,
right, exactly.
right?
So if you know yourself, the reason is because debt is very dangerous, right? It's very risky. Every single person who went out of the game in 2008 was in debt,
Yep.
right? Debt is a tool or it makes you a tool, right? So here's the way it works. The reason I pay off all my debt and everybody says, "Oh, you're so dumb for you don't understand." Okay, right? These are the same people who call me with tears in their eyes. They're older. They don't have anything to show for all this money they're moving. They're broke. This is the hamster wheel. The hamster wheel isn't hard work. That's BS. The
No.
hamster wheel is not progressing. You don't get burnout from working hard. You get burnout from working hard and not moving.
Hmm.
I pay off my debt because I'm a hyper spender. That's it.
Yeah.
Don't tell anybody, guys. You give me 90,000 and I'll go to the Toyota dealership today and I'll buy a Toyota Sequoia and I'll pay for it in cash and I'll be like my shoulders will be back and I'll have a fancy new car. They'll be wiping it down as I get in it. They'll take a picture of me driving off. So no, the bottom line is the reason I pay off debt is because it's not a good idea to be in debt. Now, this is going to be a very big arguing point. I'm as big a fan of Robert and as anybody else, obviously. But
Yeah.
no, debt is. I think it's a season, and I think that you have to. Money is a game, and once you win different that game, you pick a new game. There is no joy in running up the score of a one game. You can't just keep moving the goalpost. This is not where you this is not where you're going to find happiness and fulfillment. Brent and I know these guys. They get to the top of the mountain and they jump off there. They're all by themselves.
Yep.
Every conversation is some kind of a way to they want to monetize every relationship, every connection, every conversation. It's always the money, 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 money. No good. No good. It's not going to give you anything that you want. So the bottom line is, for me personally, I like owning my own home. I like not having debt. I like continually 1031 into properties that go up in value. I like having fewer doors. I don't want to own a property management company and have 140 single family doors where each one is, this one made $1.50 last month, so it's still, no, no, no. And what you do with the people in 2008 who went out, they broke some of the rules of business. What are the rules that they broke? Number one, right? They put good money after bad deals,
Yep.
right? And nobody wants to admit to doing this, and they all do it, right? The one rental's making money and they're taking it, trying to save a bad deal that'll never revive. And now that disease on that property just spread into the whole portfolio when you do that. That's how you spread
That
disease.
that's what got me, Tom. I mean, what got me was I bought with adjustable rate mortgages, and they were
Right,
1 or 2% for the first 3 years, and then they jumped up. And so the first 3 years, tickety boo, we're having fun. It's good. Cash flow is awesome. This makes a lot of sense. Rates adjust in 2008, and then
right,
all of a sudden my tenants can't the rent doesn't cover the mortgage, and the tenants stop paying or they move, and you're trying to get somebody in there at a higher rate that just isn't the market won't command it at that time, and that's how I lost them. You know what I mean? And it's like, I understand, when people say, it's really good to have the leverage and the debt, and you can keep moving that, and you can keep Burr strategy, which is, I think, a pretty
yeah,
strong strategy to
absolutely.
to implement there, and I understand that. But also, uh, I think you could do a lot. I think you could do a lot with paying it down and getting massive cash flow from the assets that you have, and then rolling them into a big one, and then getting the real big payday, and get that paid off, and have some big assets that give you great cash flow that'll supply your family with a really nice financial position
Right.
to build off of. But more importantly, if and you say it all the time, and I love this about you, Tom, if you give your kids a portfolio of 200 properties when they're like 42 or 45 when you pass away, and they don't already have financial literacy, you're giving them a loaded gun.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's a nightmare. So,
And you
yeah,
have to stop focusing. If you're listening to this, there's not that there's anything wrong with cash flow, but it's not just cash flow. It's
right.
cash flow and net worth. If you're struggling in this area, you think maybe, oh, you Tom, you're wrong. There's no way. Like, I don't. This is contrary to everything I've been taught. It's not. Here are some basic rules to follow that are very simple. Number one, when you make $100, make sure that that cash flow increases your net worth before it increases your living expenses. There's nothing wrong with leasing a Ferrari. You want to lease a Ferrari, you've been married for 20 years and now you want to lease a Ferrari, it's your call. I'm not going to do it, right? Whatever. But you want to do it and you want to be able to afford it. Make sure that your cash flow, here's the rule, your cash flow increases your net worth before it increases your living expenses. That's poor people increase their cash flow and then they buy liabilities.
Yep.
Wealthy people increase their cash flow, then they buy assets or they increase their net worth, and then they buy liabilities. There's a slight difference, but it makes all the difference in the world. If you want generational wealth, put your kids, just have them deposit every dollar they put in the S&P 500, you put 20 cents. They'll be multimillionaires by the time they finish college, right? There's simple little tiny rules like this. And the bottom line is this, there's nothing wrong with cash flow, but it's not cash flow instead of net worth. If your net worth is going down every single month, you are going broke. I don't care about your cash flow. You will be broke. If you think that that's not true, just do a little bit of here. Read this book. This is a good book right here. The psychology. Every page in this book, every page is highlighted and notes are taken. This is people who understand wealth and money. They understand that it's cash flow and net worth. Can I afford this car? Well, what's my monthly? How much? No, that's not the right question. Can I afford a $50,000 car? 5% of your net worth every 5 years. You want a $50,000 car? Great. You got to have $1 million in net worth. That's it. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. I
I
mean,
love it.
yeah,
I mean, Tom, how do you create the discipline of being? I mean, I feel like oftentimes I'm a hyper spender too. You know what I mean? First class, the best rooms at the hotels, the
Yeah.
best restaurants, the best, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
Alexander McQueen shoes. I mean, nothing touches my feet besides McQueen's. You know what I
Well,
mean?
I have a cobbler at home, literally. So you've
Like as a
seen.
I mean, Tom has a cobbler make his shoes.
Yeah, yeah.
That's right.
So,
Yeah.
well, here's what I would say. You have to go through a season of being without, and let me give you guys. If you're married, the net worth exercise, your net worth should be measured. I would go home and measure your net worth right now, guys. If you're watching this live, and do it with your spouse.
Yep.
Do it with your spouse, guys. I'll just call Erin directly and have her do it with you. But I mean, guys, this is the
Well, Tom,
secret.
that is a challenge. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, no, no, but the measure, just a lot of people, they're in this game of real estate, and a lot of them, they're moving very, very fast because they're entrepreneurial, and they feel like a superhero because the market has been a completely bull market for like 16 years. So they're like, oh, nothing can go wrong. I'm Superman, right? Not true. But what happens is they don't want to measure their net worth, mostly because they don't want to know that it's zero or below zero, or they've been working for a decade and they've got all this quote unquote cash flow, and their net worth is like $80,000, right? So the bottom line is, it starts with measuring it. And once you measure it and you start to make some allocations and you say, hey, listen, I'm a hyper spender, right? Let's lock the money up. Let's get physical gold and a monster box of silver and put it into real estate and make sure it's in the S&P 500. It's coming out. Keep a little bit of a balance with the IRS. That's the other thing. Like, the guys, you don't want the debt, divorce, health, legal, taxes. That's what takes you guys out of the game.
Say it
Don't
again.
health. It's debt, divorce, health, legal, taxes. All entrepreneurs who go out, they go out with that. And divorces include bad partners. Don't forget rule number 4 in business: never partner when you can hire, right? So it's debt, divorce, health, legal, taxes are the 5 things that take you out. Don't mess with people like the IRS. Keep a little extra money every single time you earn money. A little bit goes to your profit account. Here, use this book right here. Where's Profit First? I have it somewhere. It's probably,
Yeah.
yeah. Use Profit First, and Profit First by Mike McAllowitz, our buddy. He's been on the show, and
Yep.
it's a brilliant, easy book that you can just follow. I don't think it's the discipline of not doing it. I mean, I go out to every fancy restaurant, and I won't fly first class, and I won't fly unless it's one way. I mean, meaning like there's no layover. I'm not doing a layover, right? That's not happening. So, but what I would say is, you can earn those things once your net worth starts to go up. The the takeaway here is this: know what your net worth is, measure it every single week with your spouse,
Yep.
and set a net worth goal. And just doing that little exercise alone will radically and drastically change the trajectory of your business and your personal life and your generational wealth. It's not the money we leave, it's what we do, it's our character, it's our content, it's how
Yep.
we earn the money, it's how we manage the money. If you're a good steward of money, you'll be put in charge of more money. If you're not, it'll all be taken from you, or you'll die with it all by yourself, and your kids will blow it within the first year they have it.
Assets minus liabilities equals net worth.
Assets minus liabilities equal net worth. It's a little, there's a few caveats. If you have your primary home, and don't listen, guys, to any of these influential landlords who tell you about the benefits of renting over owning. It is pure horse manure. All wealthy and successful men and women of consequence who have come before us for 3,000 years have taught us that you own your own home. So forget those landlords who, by the way, all those influential landlords, Brent and I know, they all
Yep.
own their primary home too, by the way. So your primary home is, I would put 50% of your net worth. Everybody argues with me about this, but the reason is, your house is not an asset and your house is not a liability. It's a shelter fee. You're going to have it your whole life, from the time you're born to the time you pass away. So if your house is worth $1 million, write down 500,000. That, and the other thing is, what's the value of everything you've
Yeah,
sold?
but you're assuming people own their homes free and clear, Tom.
Well, that's right. So you should own your home free and clear. So make that one of your net worth goals and put it on your whiteboard, because Julie and
Yes.
I did that with our house. It's a beautiful exercise. And if grandma sends $100 for a kid's birthday, the kids come in and say, hey, I want to help pay down the house. Great. I think that's awesome. So you can do that. But the other thing too is, it's everything that you sold. If you had to sell it in 30 days, everything that you own, that you owe, if you had to pay it off in 30 days. If you have things like land notes, if you have a note, you're only going to get like 60, 70, 80 cents on the dollar. If
Right.
you have a business, do not put the value of your business on your net worth because it'll skew it unless it's with a broker. And then in that case, you put 70%. Other than that, it's pretty straightforward. And it should be done every week with your spouse, guys, with your spouse,
Yep.
not alone.
Well, I'll tell you, I mean, Tom, you and I both know countless incredible business people that have had to sell their businesses because of divorce.
Yeah,
And
that
I think that's because you're not having that conversation. You're not having the, this is my goal. This is my dream. This is what I want to do. This is, why I want to do it. I think a lot of times we just assume that, our significant others are just going to be along for the ride and just, benefit from all the success that we have. The conversation needs to be made,
yeah.
and there needs to be a joint goals there. If there's not joint goals and you're just going out there to go bananas in your own business and ignore that conversation, it's going to be a problem later on.
100%. And if you do silly things that some entrepreneurs do, and I am not perfect or holier than thou. If you want to know the sins of the preacher, listen to what he preaches about, right? So I'm speaking from a point of like, I don't want to mess up certain things,
Yep.
especially the top 5 things, right? And what I would say is just be super cognizant. You are this is something that you guys should all put in your belly. And if you think it gives you a little anxiety, I think a little bit of anxiety is okay, or at least a little bit of awareness and something to have a little bit of reverence or respect for. You should operate with a little bit of paranoia. You should operate with the understanding that you are 2 bad decisions away from the gutter. Guys, life is really, really short. And if you think you're all powerful and all knowing and that nothing can touch you, if you're spending time with people who are doing the wrong thing, the right people aren't going to spend time with you. If
Yep.
you are, everything catches up with, I'm telling you guys, like, just be as it doesn't really take a lot of willpower and discipline when you're with the right people. I think this is where that whole I get a lot of kickback and argument about accountability partners, but in my entire relationship with Brent Daniels and every other man and woman of consequence, I have never in my life ever called Brent and said, Brent, are you making all your phone calls? Are you waking up on time? There's no such thing as that. It would be disrespectful to do that to Brent,
Yeah.
right? So, guys, here is the thing: forget accountability partners, seek friendship. Right? Friendship is common goals, common morals, common ethics. If you're those people, I guarantee you will. The right people will. Everyone's like, how do you get to spend time with the right people? Stop hanging out with the wrong people first. And this is so simple. There's no secret. This is all easy peasy lemon squeezy. Robert gave me the where is the surrender experiment? I don't have it handy. Read the surrender experiment by Michael Singer. It's a great book, and yeah, spend your time reading. It's boring and brilliant. I love it. Boring is the best.
The right people won't hang out with you if you're hanging out with the wrong people. I love it, Tom. You're the absolute best. Thanks for joining
Bam.
us. I'm glad you're feeling better, guys. Send some love over to Tom. His whole insides exploded 2 weeks ago or whatever. I don't know.
That's right. Oh, I love it. Health, health, health. All right, guys. Enjoy. Good seeing you,
Get
brother.
some
God bless. I'll see you
get some
soon.
love in the chat for Tom. I don't think that he goes to Coaching Inc. On Instagram, but you can certainly find him on Facebook, and he's one of the greatest to follow on Facebook, guys. He is putting out 1 to 2 unbelievable texts. I think Tom's superpower, truly. I mean, he's a wonderful speaker and presenter, but he's an even better writer. And we're real excited for his book to come out here shortly. So, absolutely wonderful to have him on the show. It's yeah, guys. I'm just telling you, if anybody knows the behind the scenes of all the people that you follow, it's Tom. It really is. And so when he's speaking, he would never throw anybody under the bus. He would never, but he's speaking so that you can avoid a lot of the drama that happens to really strong entrepreneurs behind the scenes, because he's somebody that can write those ships, and he does that on a daily basis. That's his superpower when it comes to being a business coach. So give him some love, guys. Go follow him on Facebook, and yeah, send some love in the chat. That'll live here forever, which is awesome. And now it's time for a little bit of change of pace before we have Zach Keeps come on. Zach owns 300 single family rentals here in Phoenix. He manages them all himself. And of those 120 properties that I mean, 300 properties, it's about $120 million portfolio. He's got 90 million in equity, not debt. This is somebody that's real investor. You know what I mean? This isn't just somebody that started a couple days ago. This is somebody that has been through it all. And we're going to get to pick his brain in about 3 minutes. But before we do, I'm going to pick up this dart and I'm going to throw it at that balloon board. And I'm going to give you guys a giveaway for joining us. We just want to say thank you for being a part of this. Thank you for your energy. Thank you for your enthusiasm and your positivity and just being here, right? And making sure that you're squatting up in the chat so that you can find people of like minds that you can connect with, because it's all about squatting up and connecting. So we've got some celebrations here, which is absolutely incredible. We've got the Trana brothers, Brandon Trana, 2 deals closing tomorrow, $32,500. Come on. Absolutely incredible. Absolutely incredible. Congratulations. 32,500. Imagine doing that every single month. I remember thinking back of, when I was starting out and I was like, man, if I could just make 10,000 a month. Oh man, if I could just make 10,000, that would be absolutely incredible. And then it was like, oh, if I can make 20. And then it was like, oh, if I could make 30 feels so heavy. 30 would be so amazing. Oh my gosh, that would be crazy. These guys are doing it all the time. Just like Ralph is. 4 deals under contract, 2 locked up with a buyer, trying to make September a great month. Need help moving deals in Philly. There you go. So guys, if you are in Philly and you got buyers, Ralph's got some deals. Congratulations. Here we go. Come on. Awesome. Awesome. I might as well just keep this bell in my hand. Adam Colburn got a land deal closing next week. 37K rip. Hit me up if you're working in North Carolina. We certainly will. Here you go. For Adam. Boom. And we will save the rest for later, guys. Remember, this is a participation show. So if you've got questions, if you've got comments, if you've got thoughts, put them in the chat. I'd love to pull them up here and have you participate in the show and answer any questions that you have. But right now, we have the incredible $90 million man. I don't know if he's frozen or if he's just yeah, he's on his phone here. He's probably running around rental to rental. Oh, there he is. Zach Keeps. How are you, Zach?
Good morning, stud. How you doing?
Doing fantastic. Having a great show. We're talking about the golden rules of real estate. I've been doing this 20 years. I came up with 10 rules on my just through my experience, filtered through my experience. And I would love to know some of yours.
I love it. Thanks for having me. It's always good to see you. Your energy. I just drank a Red Bull just to get amped up for you. I'm at the gym. That's the number one thing we can do is focus on our health. That's the number one rule before you do anything in real estate is health is your wealth, no matter what. If you don't have your health, you're not putting the time in the gym and taking care of yourself. Nobody cares how much money you have because it's a waste of money, right? Your health is the foundation for success. So that's my number one advice. After that, in terms of real estate, I look at deals through multiple lenses. But currently, the number one question is if you're going to buy a deal. So many people look at what I call the upside potential. Everyone focuses on how much money can you make on that deal. I want to make 10%, but no one's looking at the downside risk. So it's just as important when evaluating deals to figure out, okay, you can make X, but what is the downside if the market shifts? If you don't sell, how much money can you lose? How fast are these homes sitting on the market for, right? Is it 95 days or are they selling quickly? And if you get stuck with it, are you comfortable owning it? I call these legacy properties. So number one, if you buy the deal, are you comfortable owning it for the long term? Really, really important. So I was thinking about that this morning when
you look at that with all flips, Zach?
I look at every deal that I buy. Am I comfortable if I don't sell it to own this asset? Can I make it perform with multiple exits? So many people just think I'm going to buy it, I'm going to sell it, I'm going to make X amount of dollars. You got to have a contingency mindset. If it doesn't sell, and some of these won't sell, or the market's going to shift, or another COVID, or another slowdown, Are you comfortable having this, what I call, in your legacy portfolio? Can you own this long term? Can you rent it out long term? I don't look at stuff. I hate looking at it with the microscope of, oh, I'm going to do a midterm rental or a short term rental and encourage myself, oh, this thing's going to perform on an Airbnb. That's junk. I want to take the Warren Buffett, you're a delayed gratification guy. Saw early on in your show, you talk about buying 4 deals to become a millionaire and delayed gratification and being patient. That's the power of real estate. Everyone's talking about buying and selling. I love the opportunity to own. That's how I've created my wealth, not by flipping and stacking cash and paying a shitload of taxes every time you flip a deal, but the delayed gratification game. Buying it, stabilizing it, owning. So that's what I think is really, really important. Delayed gratification, owning. And then the other thing I want to talk about is so many people talk about infinite returns. How much can you make with strategic leverage or zero down and all this stuff? And your returns would be infinite, hypothetically. But I always evaluate deals on a cash on cash basis, meaning if I'm going to buy the home, I want to just look at it without leverage and say, what is my cash on cash return? If I can't get on a rental 8 to 10%, or I can't flip it and make at least 8 to 10%. And again, the higher the price point, you can't buy $1 million deal and hope to make 100,000. It's way too much risk. The higher the price point, the higher your expectation should be, because you're incurring a lot more risk by stabilizing a much more expensive asset. You should be making 20 to 25% if you're going to play in the $1 million+ range. That's really critical. So someone's like, oh, I can make 10% at $1.5 million and make 150. That 150 is gone in 3 months of carrying and, you know, miscellaneous and agent fees. So don't kid yourself. You got to make sure that you're getting compensated and rewarded for the risk that you're incurring by buying a more expensive deal. That's
How do you
really, really
calculate,
important.
Zach? How do you calculate cash on cash basis with your deals? Let's
Absolutely.
first talk about flips, and then let's talk about rentals.
Sure. So on a flip basis, you want to say, what is the purchase price of the deal? So here, I'm closing on a deal today. I'm buying it for $260,000. I will cost me probably about $40,000 to stabilize that asset. So I will be all in terms of cash and cash return for 300. Never take just the cost of the asset. You have to factor in the improvements as well, because that's the cost going into the deal. So 300,000. And so I'm all in. I need to net at least $30,000 on that deal. Otherwise, it's a poor deal. I'm not getting the appropriate return for the risk that I'm incurring on that deal. So very simple. The overall cost of the deal plus any improvements, plus hypothetically, you want to factor in what are the carrying costs. Right? Money's not free, but obviously we're using cash. So if you're using hard money, whatever, you're going to reverse into it. How much hard money you're going to have to utilize to carry in fairness to get the appropriate return. So let's say you carry it for 90 days and your cost of capital is 10%. So that's roughly $2,500 a month. So now you're really in for 3,075. You want to make at least $31,000, because that's your true cost of capital in that deal conservatively. So
at your level right now, Zach, are you putting any of your own cash into deals, or do you have relationships with the hard money lenders, private money lenders, where they're just covering everything?
I don't use any hard
all
money. Yeah. So I don't use any hard money. I'm leveraging my existing portfolio. We spoke about this before. I'm a low leverage guy. So what I do is I pledge my unencumbered assets at 65, 70 cents on the dollar to the bank. I then have a large line of credit that I extract. So there's a true cost of my capital. Yes, I'm paying cash. The new assets that I buy are actually free and clear, because I'm using cash that's encumbered by my existing assets to then acquire the new assets. So there is a true cost, and that money is still not cheap. It's not 10%, but it's probably 8.25% with those lines of credit. Of course, they're going to be higher than a takeout loan, meaning they're going to fluctuate based on LIBOR or prime. So that's how I acquired.
Yeah, but when you started, Zach, did you raise funds?
Yes, absolutely. No one has enough money to start. So I use what's called OPM, other people's money, and I did a 50-50 model, meaning, and this is really important, every dollar that I made, it was split 50-50. I never took any management fees, no commissions. Everything went into the pot, which any high net worth investor who's going to invest in you, any sophisticated liquid investor would want to see something similar, right? Everyone can stroke it however they want. You could do a hybrid model with either a preferred return, meaning you're going to pay that investor 7 or 8% of the first dollars made, and then it's a waterfall, meaning they can get a percentage after that, or they just want a direct return. There's a million different ways. You're an expert. You've been around for a long time to structure, but you always want to engage consultatively people with money to say, what are you looking to do? Do you just want to be a passive investor and provide capital? Do you want to be active in the project? A lot of investors find that they like to walk the project. They want to provide some insight. They want to, pick out some selections with you. It's important to engage and collaborate and create a good synergy with those people and ask them, what are your expectations in this deal? You just want a fixed return? You want to show up to the property? You want to help sell it and market it? Have fun with it. It's not just a unilateral relationship. Be very consultative and engaging. And the more you do that, more inclusive, if that's their desirability, the more likely of reinvestment in future deals.
Love it. And so cash, sorry, I distracted us. Cash on cash for rentals. How does that work?
Very similar. So you're going to take your all in. So let's use the deal again today, 260 and 40 or whatever it is. I'm all in at 300. If I rent that house out for, let's say, 2,500, I'm getting a gross return of 10%, right? Because that would be $30,000 of a gross yield, 2,500 times 12.
Yep.
But let's not forget, people trick themselves. Let's say it takes me 3 months to stabilize that deal. I'm not really immediately getting a 10% return because now I've lost 3 months of carrying. So you got to be very diligent in terms of what's your vacancy cost. How quickly can you get a tenant in there? What's it going to cost you with any commissions or marketing expenses to procure that tenant? So it's not like all of a sudden it's plug and play. You close and the tenant comes in. Do you have that ability to carry that asset, right, with your cash to get that yield? But again, I still look at it once it's stabilized. I'd like to get an 8 to 10, but there's always exceptions to every rule. So for example, if I buy that asset today, let's just say, and it needed work later, and I buy it for the 260, and there's an existing tenant paying $1,000 a month, that would not give me anything close to the yield. That's probably a 4 or 5% gross return on my basis. However, equity is the key to every deal. So when you look at the deal and you say how much equity is in that deal and you recapture that equity, that's how you're going to make the real money. So many people are fixated, oh, I can't buy the deal because there's a tenant for the next 8 months paying $1,000 a month. That's below my threshold. You can't look at it on a granular micro level. You need to look at it at the macro level, at the higher perspective, to say, okay, there's $80,000 in equity. After I restabilize this deal, that tenant moves out, and then I do the remodel and I go to flip that asset, how much money would I make on that deal? What does that look like? And so once you recapture that equity and put that back into the equation, you will get your return, assuming the market's return on that property if you flipped it and or re-rented it, factoring in the equity situation. Does that make sense?
It makes sense. What are you playing pickleball right now? Is that what's going on? Pickleball?
There's a pickle here. Let me move down the road here. It got loud. My headphones just went out.
Yeah, Zach, thank you so much for spending some time with us. I mean,
No,
the $120 million portfolio, you own most of it. Why not just pull out a bunch and just keep leveraging and leveraging and leveraging and leveraging? Why not just, why are you getting it paid off? Is it a cash flow thing? Is it a net worth thing? What is it?
Sorry, bring that question back one more time.
Why not just leverage a lot of the equity that you have in your portfolio to buy more or bigger properties?
Well, I do. I use the equity. I have a lot of equity in my portfolio to continue to grow, but I also don't want to be over levered. I'm a very conservative guy. There's no reason to overextend myself. I think if you have a problem sleeping at night because you're stressed about servicing debt or you get a bunch of vacancies, it's something you have to factor in. Again, health is number one. If I start losing my sleep and my health deteriorates because I'm greedy and I'm over levered, not smart. The litmus test is if you're tossing and turning, you're worrying about servicing debt, you're too deep in leverage. So I'm very conservative. I'm comfortable. I'm incrementally growing and scaling at a high level, but by no means am I looking to jeopardize everything I've built, right? I have a solid foundation and I don't want to, lose everything that I built over the past 22 years.
So 3 main skills for real estate investing. 3 main skills. Number 1, find deals. Number 2, raise funds. Number 3, property management. What do you think?
I think those are all incredibly important. I mean, and of course, communication and relationship building and having fun. So I would say,
Sure.
Technically, I think so many people take this business, and I love your model. You've got, you grew up and you have people in your family with, everyone has shit in their life, and everyone's hands that they're dealt are always different and it's complex. But at the end of the day, it's about showing up. It's about being consistent. It's about building relationships. And ultimately, life is short. You got to have fun with what you're doing. So many people take this so seriously that they walk around with a stick up their ass and this and that. And everything is so, granular and microscopic. And people are
stressed about this. Don't be stressed. Have a good time. Do the TTP. Talk to people. Chill out. Relax. Some of the greatest people I know, we'll use the Trana brothers and the boys. They're smoking weed, having a good time. And why? That energy creates abundance, that relaxation. If you're so stuck up, think about if you're building these long-term relationships and you're stuck up on the phone or you're difficult or you're stressed, that comes off in the energy. Like when Brett calls me, I love to get on the phone. It elevates my day just having a conversation with that guy. And the people in your group, they're good people. People want to do business with people that are fun, that are laid back, that have that same energy, that can create a beautiful long-term synergy in these long-term relationships. Everything flows from that. So think about your energy. What you're bringing to the table is so critical.
I love it. Zach, thanks for joining us, brother.
Great to see you anytime. Hopefully we connect soon. Good luck to all your students. I know they're crushing it. This guy's he's the master. I'm glad you're learning.
Zach, I want to be like you, brother. So go have fun. Go beat him up in pickleball, and I'll see you soon.
Work these legs, baby. Have a wonderful day. Be blessed.
See you, brother. Zach Keeps, $90 million man. No joke. I mean, absolutely incredible. You heard it there. I mean, he really does work really, really hard to get those deals paid off. Yes, he's living off of cash flow, but also more, he's living off of his flips. He flips a lot of properties. So it's really interesting. You got wholesaling where we're finding the deals and then the cash investors that are buying those deals. And Zach is one of those cash investors. He's literally running around like that all day long. All day long, somebody calls him, he's going to answer his phone. They're going to tell him, or they're going to text him a deal. He's going to say yes or no. We do it all the time with him, and he buys it, guaranteed. Boom, makes it super easy. Buys him. He's probably buying between, I would say 8 to 12 a month that he's either going to flip or add to his portfolio every single month. And he's doing that with the big nest egg that he built off of going out and raising funds. Look at this. I'll go to right here. This is interesting here. Okay. What Zach was talking about is he was going 50-50 with his private money lenders, right? And what would happen is he would go out and he would make connections with wholesalers, or he'd look on the MLS and he would find deals that he thought were really good. He'd negotiate them and he'd get them probably about 70 to 80% of value, maybe lower. And then what he would do is he would fix them up for about 10%. He'd be into those deals about 90%, and then he would get financing, conventional financing on those deals. And once the conventional financing comes in, he pays off the private money lenders, and now he owns this property free and clear. Right? He's paying them interest on it, or he's flipping these properties. In the beginning, he would go and find a deal. He would buy it from a wholesaler, let's say 150, put $50,000 into that deal at 200. He would then sell that for, let's say, 275, and then he would split that 50-50 with his private money lenders. I was doing this. I was bidding at auction. I went and I raised in 2009, in 2008, I raised about $2 million from a wealthy family here in town, which was just friends of the family. I raised $2 million, and it was 50-50 split. And we would bid at the foreclosure auctions and buy these properties, fix them up, and sell them, and then split that deal 50-50 with the money that we raised here. They were passive. They didn't do anything. They didn't have any say in any of the deals. And that worked out really well until the auctions got attacked by the hedge funds, and they bought all of the properties. And so it wasn't a sustainable a business. And that's why I didn't realize at the time that sourcing really good deals, again, it goes down to this. And I'm going to do this in the blue marker because I think it just pops, baby. It just pops. Number one is find deals. Guys, you do this, you will be set for life. You do this, you will be absolutely set for life. For life. I'm going to be honest. I had this conversation with my oldest son's Seamus, my oldest son, Seamus. his mom, her name is Ashley, and she's just not good at keeping jobs. She lives in a house that we own free and clear, so she doesn't have to pay rent, and she just kind of does odd jobs here and there. And she had a meltdown the other day, and I was like, listen, if you just go find an ugly house, I'll pay you for it. If you just go find somebody that wants to sell an ugly house, I'll take it from there, type of thing. I mean, you literally have to have no skills, no abilities to go out there and start building up some momentum of finding deals. Go find an ugly house. The owner's contact information is on the internet, on the interwebs. You could go to a variety of different resources and tools to be able to pull that. No problem, right? You can go to True People Search. You could go to Yellow Pages, White Pages. You could go to, you could literally just type in the address and it'll pull up. So, I mean, there's no excuses to not be able to build the skill of finding deals. Number two is raising funds. That's number two. But I am telling you, Zach Keeps does not raise funds for his 50-50 deal to get rolling in this business. He started with nothing, by the way, guys. He's not, it wasn't like his parents were like, oh, here's a bunch of money to get started. And oh, by the way, here's a bunch of experience in real estate to get started. Nothing. $90 million in equity right now, that guy. He's playing pickleball. It's what, 11:20 on a Wednesday. Like, the guy's life is awesome. He's just all over the place. He's just living the life that he wants to live. But that's because first he was able to find deals. On market, off market, auctions, whatever. I don't care. Just find deals. We find deals off market, by the way. Then you can raise the funds. It's a lot easier. There is more of this than this. Way more of this. This is waiting for you. This is like, oh, please find me one of these. I need to make more money with this. My money needs to have baby monies. It needs to make all these little baby monies, right? I need this to do it. So this is the skill. And then three, obviously, is property management. And if you don't have this, if you can't figure out how to manage properties or find people that are really good at managing properties, don't own real estate. Just don't do it. Because you're going to be one of those tired landlords that I buy your house in 10 years because it's destroyed. I mean, that's where we get a majority of these properties is people that own these rental properties and they have no property management skills, and now they have problems because they're the classic deal, the old landlord deal. I won't raise rents. You don't call me when things break. And so this is so critical once you own real estate, not only just for your rental portfolio, but also if you're doing flips. Also, if you're doing wholesale, property management matters. What are you doing with that property? Are you able to understand the highest and best use of that property? And are you putting people in there, if you're going to own it long-term, are you going to put people in there that maybe don't turn over every 2.5 years, right? That don't destroy your house, that keep it like it's their own. So this is critical, but it starts here. It starts with finding deals, baby. This is it. This is where you really start picking up the momentum. Then you can do all these so much better. Got it? Good. Awesome. Let's go into some more questions. Edwin, hey Brent, great interview with Spencer Caldwell a few weeks ago, last week. What is the difference between his model and Keegley model? Interesting. So Keegley will dispo deals, but they will add more on top, as much as they can on top of each deal. Spencer Caldwell sells deals, but he only charges the buyer $1,500. So he doesn't increase. So what happens typically I'll do it over here. What happens typically is like a Keegley, which is a fantastic company. They'll take a property that is, the wholesaler wants $250,000, and they'll put it out at their list at $260,000, and then make the $10K in between, right? Spencer Caldwell, which you guys should all be following his YouTube channel. It's absolutely fantastic. He'll see the 250 and he'll sell it. He'll put it out at 250, and then he'll charge the buyer $1,500 to $2,500, I think, depending on the deal. And so it's a much different model, right? One is just selling it at the exact price that the wholesaler put it out at. One is increasing the price that the wholesaler put it out at, typically. It just depends. I mean, Keegley's got a bunch of different models and is pretty complex, but that's just the basic level. All right. Love the show. I believe you said you ultimately want to be a hard money lender. What is the difference with that and what you're currently doing with your lending fund? It's just more money. That's it. Just having more, millions and millions and millions more. With a hard money fund, it's interesting. You got to get licensing. Once you start taking on other people's funds, there's a whole lot of responsibilities and a whole lot of regulations that you have to abide by. And so that's just not where we're at yet. It's not one of our focuses yet, but it's getting there. Glenn found a buyer for a deal I have under contract and assigned it for $25,000. Glenn in the house. Come on, let's do this. Originally from Bulgaria, now a Phoenician here in Arizona. Glenn, you are incredible. Keep it going. 25K. One conversation. One conversation. Find deals. Find great deals and have a conversation. And all of a sudden, you're able to sell that deal. You can flip the paper flip the paper, right? You can replace yourself in a contract, in a purchase agreement, and people will pay you for it. Absolutely bananas, right? It's the best business ever. I love it. Let me get into real quick some tools that we use in our business. TaskRabbit, guys, really interesting. TaskRabbit. So this is kind of just independent people that are running around. We have people from TaskRabbit do pictures for us in areas that we're not around, or in areas that we're not close to. So if it's a deal that's a couple hours away, we'll get on TaskRabbit or Facebook, and we'll get people to do it. But it's a really good resource for you to get people to take some pictures or put on a lockbox on a property, or even meet a property owner out at a property. It's been really good. Okay. Guys, I really like Investor Lift. If you notice here, this is the back end. Here's 19 offers. I don't know if you can see that. 19 offers on some of our deals. We have 134 property inquiries. It's really great for tracking the analytics and for getting exposure on the property. And honestly, we typically, I would say, out of the last 20 deals, 2 of them we've sold on Investor Lift, 18 of them we've sold just to our individual investors, to our database that we send our deals to. But the nice thing that I like about it is, one, it allows you to have conversations with buyers that you didn't even know were out there, which then you can really figure out what deals to send them. But also, we were finding wholesalers were taking our deal that were on our email list, we're taking our deals and posting them to Investor Lift without our permission. Okay? Not cool. Not cool at all. And so when we put it on, we'll just put it on there to prevent that, so that we can have more control over it, and make sure that people aren't just posting to. I mean, that's like somebody listing your house on the MLS without asking you. It's crazy, right? But Investor Lift is a really awesome tool. I think you get a discount with TTP, the shirt, right? TTP, talk to people. So if you're interested in that, it's not cheap. It's for experienced real estate investors. If you guys are looking to move some of your deals and you can't, and you don't have a big cash buyer database, I highly suggest you go onto Investor Lift, register, and see who in your market is posting the most there. Reach out to them and see if they'll help sell your deals if you can't sell them yourself. Got it? Awesome. Guys, Deal Machine, dealmachine.com. It's got everything. It's got a dialer, it's got AI, you can pull your lists, you can use the app to go and find ugly houses that gets you all the contact information for the property owners that you're trying to get a hold of. It's absolutely incredible tool, and something that most of our students use and love, and that we use. We've used them for years and years and years. So I don't know if unveiled TTP is the right code there, Matt. I don't know what that is, but you could just use TTP as a coupon code there, and you get a free trial. So definitely check that out. And then when you're really ready for the inbound leads, talktopeople.com, baby. We are, man, we're getting some juicy deals around the country. If you're looking to get set up your pay-per-click account and get inbound leads from people that are searching to sell their house on the internet, talktopeople.com. When you're ready and your budget's decent, right? If you're in a smaller market, you can expect that you're going to spend 5,000 to 7,000 a month, right? If you're not there yet, that's okay. That's fine. But if you're in a major market, you're between $7,000 and $10,000 a month. If you're in that position, you want those juicy inbound deals that just, I'm telling you, the timeline to sell these deals or to lock up these deals is 2 days. 2 days. Like you get the lead today, in 2 days, Friday, you have it under contract. It's incredible. The speed, the cash conversion cycle is so fast. It's incredible. And so definitely check that out at talktopeople.com. Those are some of the top tools that we use on a daily basis. So make sure that that you check those out and get get take all the hurdles out of the way, right? That's the whole point of the show. That's the whole point of this YouTube channel is remove all the obstacles so you can do what you're supposed to be doing, which is having conversations and making offers. Having conversations and making offers. And these tools allow you to do that a lot easier. All right. Howard, Wholesaling Inc. I am under contract. I am under contract with a seller right now. The house is condemned with 30K in liens, city liens with no structural damage. Can we get the liens reduced? Yeah, potentially. I mean, you can have a conversation with them and see if you can get that reduced for sure. Why not? And you can say, listen, I can give you 5,000, I could give you 2,000, I could give you 10,000, whatever it is. Sure, I think so. They may or may not play ball, but what else are they going to do? The city wants the money for sure. And so maybe they'll reduce it to make it make sense. If the property's not worth 30,000 is what I assume it is, then they'll play ball with you. And so yeah, it's a really great idea to go and negotiate that. We have negotiated those with different cities here in Maricopa County, and it has worked. We had one property that was condemned because they just didn't have cover plates on their electrical outlets, and I'm like, if you saw some of the houses that we've been in, that would be the least of your worries. But they condemned it. They wouldn't even allow the owner into the property except for one window where they would go in with them. They had a representative go in with them so that he can go and actually get personal items out of the property. It was crazy. And then we sold it and made a ton. But those are great deals for sure. Jacob, except calling sellers each day, what other resources, books, YouTube channels do you recommend following and learning from? Currently reading Never Split the Difference, and it's life changing. Yeah, well, first of all, let's make sure that this is in addition to calling sellers, right? We want to make sure that we are definitely calling sellers on a daily basis. Did you send Henry a link? What? Okay. In your email. Okay. Hopefully, Henry will join us here shortly. Yeah, listen, you got to be reading. You got to be listening to audibles. If you're in your car alone, no more radio, no more bumping all that stuff. That's for pool parties and treadmills. You know what I'm saying? You're an entrepreneur. You're putting great things in your mind. You've got a mobile university that you should be taking advantage of all the time. Because being an entrepreneur is going to be one of the hardest things. It's going to be the hardest thing probably that you go through from a mental, from a mindset perspective, because we have to build skills. Once we have skills, we're confident. Once we have skills, our mindset shoots through the roof, right? You know, once we have the ability to understand and recognize potential in deals, and once we're able to communicate effectively with property owners, we're not thinking about it all the time. We're not worried about it all the time, which leads to a stronger mindset. So skills are the number one thing for building a strong, healthy mindset. Um, but yeah, great books. Never Split the Difference. I didn't get anything out of it, to be honest. I know that that sounds controversial, but with how am I supposed to do that type of thing? I think that there's some good things in there. It wasn't my jam, to be honest. It sounds like it's life changing for you, which is fantastic. Everything hits different your brain differently. With me, I think that the Sandler sales training is the best. Sandler's what trained Pace Morby. Sandler's what trained Todd Toback, Steve Trang, all those people specifically in our area. And it's got a really great book called "You Can't Teach a Kid to Ride a Bike at a Seminar." Longest title ever, but very good book when it comes to being able to have great conversations. But again, 80% of the conversations that you should be having with property owners should be about discovery, about them, not about the property. Oh boy, he found the link. It is, hold on. Let me, by the way, Henry, before you jump on here, every week I throw darts at this board of balloons, and sometimes when I hit the right row, people get a trapper keeper that is filled with my lead sheets, my master lead sheet little pad here, but also with your incredible book that I bought, like, I don't know, 50 copies of. So we give it out, we've got unlimited amounts of this book. And by the way, I went through this yesterday, Henry, and like really was digging back into it, and just phenomenal. So guys, from Bigger Pockets, from an unbelievable real estate entrepreneur, incredible author, to add to that, Henry Washington. How are you, brother?
What's up, buddy? Thank
Great
you
to
for
see you.
having me, man. And thanks for sharing that book, man. That's amazing.
This is phenomenal. I mean, guys, this really, like, it goes really in depth. You know what my favorite part about this is, Henry? And I'm going to steal it. I'm just telling you, I'm making it public right now. This graph right here, and I'm going to get close. This little chart thing that you did.
Oh, yeah,
Wait,
yeah, yeah.
let me zoom in. This comfortability versus profitability
Yeah, man.
is absolutely incredible. Look at that. Down at the bottom, super comfy is networking, real estate agents, for sale by owner. We're trying to get this thing figured out. The Craigslist, Facebook, wholesalers, direct mail, and then it just goes up to the less comfortable you are, the more profitable the deals.
That's right.
I love it. I mean, I've never seen it like this, and it just I saw it instantly, and I was like, this guy is just on a different level. So, Henry, we were talking about kind of the golden rules of
Mhm.
real estate investing, of what you add to your portfolio, what you don't add to your portfolio. How do you go about this business? How do you build momentum in this business? Do you have some pearls of wisdom? I know you do, but some pearls of wisdom that you can impart just with your incredible journey.
Yeah, man. I love this too, having these golden rules, because I definitely have them. But until you kind of asked me and said it in a way of calling them golden rules, now I started thinking about like how I'm going to word these and frame these and put these up in my office. But one of our golden rules, or one of the golden rules I like to operate by, is in my business. It's in the book too. It says we don't always make the best business decision, but we always make the best people decision. And
Mm,
if that decision costs us money, we're okay with that.
yep.
Um,
What does that
and
mean?
we're talking real estate, right? Typically we're talking single and small multifamily real estate. If you're getting into wholesaling or you're just getting started, typically is what most wholesalers are looking at. And it's so easy, especially when you're new and you don't have money, and you know that getting one deal could change everything for you. It's so easy to get caught up in a transactional mindset, to think, man, I got this lead, I gotta go close this lead. I gotta close this deal. I gotta get this check. And we quickly forget that there are people's homes at the other end of our real estate transaction. These are people's homes. They raise their kids in them. They watch their kids take their first steps. They sent their kids off to school for the first time. There's memories tied to this. Sometimes it's the only wealth these families have ever accumulated, right?
Yep.
And we're buying them. And I've learned in this business that, and people say it all the time, right? You have to solve problems, but solving problems means you're helping someone, and your helping someone needs to not be tied to money you're trying to make. The more you can be genuine with people and show them that, hey, I'm here to help you, whether that means I buy your house or not. If me buying your house is the right way to help you, then we'll do that. But if me helping you, but if I can find a way to help you and you not have to sell your house, I'm going to do that too, even though it doesn't make me
I
money.
love it.
And that, when you approach your seller appointments not as deals to close, but as opportunities to be of service, whether you're going to make money or not, people feel it. They
Yep.
feel it. And you have to think about it. A lot of these appointments you're going to go on, you're not the only wholesaler they talk to. You're not the only investor they talk to. They're probably talking to other investors. And so they probably got their guard up. And when you can come in there and speak from a place of genuine empathy and show that you are truly trying to help, it really does help you stand out over your competition. Because if they're going to interview 4, 5, or 6 people and they have to go with somebody's offer, people don't just want to go with the most money. They want to go with who's going to give me the most money that I can trust. That's
Yep.
actually, I can trust it's going to get the transaction done, that I can trust it's going to take care of me, that I can trust it's going to take care of this property that I'm selling, this home that I have that I'm selling. And so we just quickly learned that we need to take care of the people. The money makes itself. This is if you don't get this one, you'll get the next one, guys. Like, but if you truly take care of people, I've closed more deals for less money than my competition because of the trust that I've built, because people see pretty quickly within a conversation that I'm not there just to make money. I'm there to truly help.
So how do you do that, Henry? Like just tactically, just
Yeah.
you're there, you're having a conversation. Do you say something specific to them? Is
Yeah.
it are you sit are you with my for instance, my acquisition manager Ryan, he'll sit down
Mhm.
in the living room before getting the whole house tour,
Yep.
right? He's going to sit down and he goes, I just want to review what we talked about on the phone and really understand what is your goal with this property.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And then it opens it up. So what is your technique?
Yeah, there's a couple of techniques. There's a couple of hard techniques and a couple of soft techniques. So the hard technique typically starts in the first conversation, because I am always trying to make sure that people understand where I'm coming from, so I don't waste their time, they don't waste my time. So usually in the initial conversation, I let them know, hey, just so you know, I am an investor. That means I have to buy your property at a price point that's going to allow me to pay the money to fix it up, pay the closing costs when I buy it, pay the closing costs when I sell it, pay my agent when I sell it, and then on top of all that, make a profit. That's a lot of people that get paid before I do. And so typically my offer is not going to come close to a retail price offer. If your house is in great shape and you need a retail price offer, I'm probably not the best tool in the tool belt, but I'd be happy to refer you to an agent who can help you get that. And typically if they're like, well, yeah, I understand, I want you to come take a look at it, then I see that there's some level of motivation there. And typically in that same spiel, I'll say to them, I'll say, look, my goal when I get there is I'm going to give you all of the information that I have. I'm not here to hide anything from you. I'll show you the comps that I'm looking at, what I would sell your property for after I fix it up. I'll show you all the fees that I'm going to have to pay. I'll show you, I want to operate from a place of brutal honesty, whether that financially benefits me or not. This is your home. I want you to have all the information so you can make the best decision for you and your family. If that's working with me, great. If it's not, great. No one else is telling them that, right? And so it's already kind of takes a little bit of a wall down. And then when I get to the property, I'm not immediately getting to business, and I'm not walking a property and going, oh man, look at that. Well, you got a leak there, man. Whew. Man, that's going to cost me some money to fix. Like, that's not the vibe I want on the tour, right? The first thing I'm doing when I get there is I'm trying to show them that I'm a human being and that I'm there to help. And so I'm like consistently I'm looking, what's something in this home that I can relate to them as a human being on that has nothing to do with business. Maybe it's a piece of art, maybe it's some, medals from the military that they were in, maybe like something that I see that I resonate with, that I can have a conversation about, to show them I'm just a person like you, I just want to help. And that really starts to help bring the walls down. And then I follow up on what I said. I truly do show them everything, Brent. So when I get ready to make my offer, I'll say, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I just want to show you what I think your options are. Because a lot of the times they don't really understand what their options are.
Yeah,
And
sure.
so I'll break it down. I'll say, hey, so you've got a couple of options here. And this will depend on the house. But for example, I had a house that was in pretty decent shape. It needed a little bit of work. And so I said, you've got 3 options here. I said, you can probably, and I'll get them talking. So the first thing I'll usually ask is I'll say, hey, if you were to just fix this thing up, money wasn't an object, you'd fix it up, and you were going to sell it on the market, what do you think you would list it for? And they'll typically have a number. And what I'm listening for is their number, is their ARV in the same ballpark as mine? Because
Yep.
if it's not, then we're going to have a very difficult conversation. We got a gap to fill before I can make an offer, because they're just going to walk me out of there, right? If they think their house is worth 600 and it's only worth 4, right? And so that's my gauge. And I get them to tell me, because now it's their number. I didn't make up the number. They set the number, right? So they said, oh yeah, I'd probably sell it for, the guy next door sold for, 300. My house is a little bigger, maybe 325. Okay, cool. That's about what I would sell it for, right? So if I have to sell it for 325, right, that means I have to pay 6% to a realtor, and I do what that number is. And then I have to pay, 2% closing when I buy it, 2% or 3% closing when I sell it. And we do the math on what those numbers are. And then I have to spend some money to fix it up. If you were going to fix it up, like, how much do you think it would cost you to fix it up? And they'll go, like 20 or 30 grand. And I'll say, yeah, it's probably going to cost me around 30, maybe 40, because I'm not going to do it. I'm going to have to pay somebody to do it. So I've got about 40 grand on the renovation. So we cross out the 40 grand right there. And then that's how I would show. And then I would say, obviously I have to make some profit. For me to do a deal of this size, of this cost, I would be looking to make about X. I tell them what I would want to make,
Sure.
right?
Yeah.
And then I say, so if you take your 320 you would sell it for, minus commissions, closing costs, how much it costs to fix it up, and what I would need to make, this is the number. And even though that number is much lower than what they were thinking, no one's upset. They were involved in the process. They understand all of these things that need to be paid for. It's easy to make offers when you do it like that. They get it. They understand. They trust you. You're transparent with them. You didn't just come and lowball them, and they have no idea why you're lowballing them. And then I say, but you have another option, right? I have the comps right here that my agent ran for me. You could spend maybe 10, 15 grand, paint all the walls, fix this back deck, fix these little problems that sellers are going to complain about, probably cost you maybe $10,000 to $15,000. And then you could list your house for sale. It won't be the best and the brightest house on the market. So if you did that, you could probably sell it for, $190,000. And then you're going to pay 6% commission, and then you're going to pay some closing costs. The seller still might ask you to fix a couple of things. How long do you think it would take you to do that much work? Maybe 30 days. Would it really take you 30 days, or would it probably take you closer to 60 days? Because, you got a life and a job, and probably 60. Okay. So if it takes you 60 days, then you list it, and it takes another 60 days, average days on market. That's 4 months, right? And then you take another 30 days to close. That's 5 months. So let's call it 6 months for good. So in 6 months, you could have this much money if you got started today. Right. And they go, oh, okay, well, I could make more, but man, they know they're not going to do that work. Right. But I
Yep.
told them what their option was. That's a real option for them. And then I'll say, hey, your final option is you could do all the work, you could make it super nice, and you could list it on the market. Probably take you 6 months to get through that renovation, and then another 4 or 5 months to sell. So within a year, you could make this much money. So you can have this much money in a year, or this much money in 6 months, or you can have my offer and you can get paid in the next 7 days.
Yeah.
That is pure trust and transparency.
Well, listen, it comes down to, what do they want? It's right here,
Mhm.
right?
That's
Sellers,
right.
do they want speed and convenience? Then
Yep.
it's a cash as is offer. If they
Yep.
want speed and price, then they can list it on the MLS, but it's going to be, they're going to have to be inconvenienced, right?
Yep.
And if they want, well, we don't even have to get into novations. That's a whole other ball of wax. But
Yeah.
it's the absolute truth. What do they want? That's what
Yeah.
we're asking them: is it speed, convenience? There's speed, convenience, and there's price. You only get
Yep.
to pick two of them, and we don't say that, but that's what we're trying
Yep.
to pull out
That's
of
right.
them to see. Hey, listen, you can have a higher price, but it's going to take you longer, and
Right.
it's not going to be convenient. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And so I think that's awesome. And you're just doing this all in your backyard. You're just
I'm
doing
doing
this
it
all face to face.
literally sitting at the table with them, writing it on the back of the contract.
I love it.
And then I leave the contract with them because I truly do want them to pick the option that best fits them. If that option is not with me, that's great. It's your home. Get as much as you think you can get.
Yeah.
Like if you want speed and convenience, I got you. I'll take care of you. You'll be done in a week,
Yep.
right? But if you want more money, here are the ways, the honest ways I think you can get there, the honest timeline I think it would take you, and how much money you would actually pocket after you pay your fees and expenses. Like I'm just upfront with them.
Love it. Let's switch tracks real quick to what properties do you like for your portfolio?
Yeah, I like to hold. I like small multis um, or singles in the path of progress.
Awesome.
Yep.
And so explain to everybody what that means.
Yep. So singles in the path of progress means typically right now, right, and so we're talking right now, things change. Right now, the market is telling me that I can profit typically better on a flip because prices are still relatively high and there's still less supply than there is demand. So
Yeah.
I can get a good profit by flipping a house and then deploying that money somewhere else in my business versus trying to get it to cash flow because of the interest rates are high, and interest rates aren't just high, but insurance is on the rise and
Yeah.
taxes are on the rise, and
Yep.
all of those things eat away at your cash flow. And so multifamilies are a whole lot easier to cash flow because there's multiple doors under one roof. I can get multifamilies to cash flow a lot easier. And so I will typically hold the multis and I will typically flip the singles unless that single is in the path of progress, meaning that I, because of my knowledge of my market where I'm investing, if I understand what's coming, either in other words, what the future is going to bring to that area of town, then I can guess about, and it is a guess because nothing is guaranteed. I
Right.
can guess that I'm going to get some really, really great appreciation by holding. And so I do have some singles that we've bought and held recently that we've made short-term rentals just to get them to cash flow a little bit or break even because of what's happening in the path of progress there, because my valuation was so much higher. Like I have a house right now that if I sold, I can make $200,000 profit flipping it.
Woo.
And the renovation is done, but I ain't no way I'm selling that thing because Walmart's building their new home office campus like 2 blocks away.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to sit on it. It is lit. I see the progress. Like it's right there.
Net worth.
Right. So I'm
Increasing
sitting
the
on
net
it.
worth,
Yes.
right? Instead
Yes.
of increasing your bank account, you're increasing your net worth.
Yep. That's it.
Yeah. And do you think about that, Henry? I think about this all the time. Okay, how can I make more cash to be able to put into more assets,
Yep.
right? You know what I
Yep.
mean? Are you looking at, do you have certain goals for the amount that you want to buy, or is it just basically like, hey, however, because
Mhm.
income ebbs and flows. It's
Yep.
never going to be perfect. It's never going to always go up.
Yep.
It's gonna have the little bit of turbulence here and there, or a lot of turbulence here and
Yep.
there. So do you just buy properties when you have excess funds, or are you
No.
just like, hey, listen, I'm gonna buy, I am going to buy 10 properties this year?
Yeah. I'm going to answer this a couple of ways because I'm in a different boat than probably most people getting started. Right. So, when you think about a real estate portfolio, there's 3 phases of a real estate portfolio. There's your growth phase. So that's where you're acquiring and you're growing. And then there's your stabilization phase. And if you're buying value add, you've got to fix those properties up, stabilize them, get them rented, or sell them so that those things are actually producing the income that you underwrote them to produce. And then you have a protection phase, meaning if you're holding properties, you don't own them until that loan is paid off.
That's
Right.
right.
And so at any point, the bank could call your note due, or the market could shift and you could lose those properties, right? So they're truly not yours. And so you've got to get to a point of protection where you've paid off those loans and they truly do start to create that generational wealth that people are looking for, right? And so if you think of your business in those three phases, I spent the majority of my career so far in the acquisition and growth phase. And so typically you're going to spend the majority of your time and effort in one phase, and then maybe 10% in another phase, or 5 and 5 in another phase. And so when you're starting out, you're going to spend 90% of your time and effort in the growth and acquisition phase, right? And then maybe 10-15% in the stabilization, as you're stabilizing some of these assets that you're buying. And then you're going to hit a point where you either hit your goals in terms of how much cash flow or doors or whatever it is that you wanted to obtain, and then you can focus more on stabilization. You're still going to buy a little bit, and you can focus a little bit on some protection. And then I'm at the point now where I'm focused mostly on stabilization and moving a little bit into protection. And so,
Sure.
am I still buying? Yes. I am not buying at the volume I was buying at before, because I'm comfortable with the size portfolio that I have. That
How
is
big? How big is it, Henry?
about 120 some odd doors.
Oh my gosh, you're
Um,
incredible.
and so
So
now it's
now
about
what you're
stable.
saying is, I'm not going to buy more. I'm going to just pay these things off.
I'm gonna stabilize what I have so that they're producing the income I want. I'm gonna start paying some off. But what does that mean? It still means I'm buying, because I need to flip, because
Yep,
flipping produces capital so that I can do the thing, stabilize and pay them
that's
off.
right.
And I will still buy rentals, because if you're flipping, you're making short-term capital gains money. And
Hmm.
that means you got to pay taxes. And I
Sure.
would much rather take the money that I would have to pay in taxes and go and buy another rental and offset those taxes, versus just paying the taxes directly. So I am still buying, not at the scale that I was buying before. Now I buy to lessen my tax burden, and I buy to and I buy because I want to buy things in the path of progress. I'm not going to pass up a great deal in the path of
Yeah, sure.
progress, right? But I buy to uh, create the flip income so that I can pay off the rentals, and I buy to um, offset my tax burden, which is different than when I first got started, which was building my portfolio.
Awesome. Guys, Henry Washington, bigger pockets. He's going to own the company at some point, but real estate deal maker right here. Make sure that you guys check it out. If you're lucky enough for me to send this to you in a Trapper Keeper, have 2 copies. Give it to somebody else if you already bought it, but make sure that you guys go check that out. They can get it on Amazon.
You can get it on Amazon. Absolutely. Yes.
Awesome. Guys, go to Amazon today, get Real Estate Deal Maker. I'm telling you, one of the top 5 real estate books I've read.
Oh man, thank
Without
you
a
so
doubt, without
much.
a doubt.
Thank
Not,
you so
I mean,
much.
you could tell that you're in this, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And this isn't just a ghostwriter
Yeah.
that, took, a bullet, 10 bullet points from you. This is real. This is real here, and phenomenal. So guys, definitely check that out. Real Estate Deal Maker. Henry Washington. Thanks for being on here, brother.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate you.
Good to see you.
Take care.
Awesome. Guys, one thing that Henry was talking about, and I think that this is really important to look at here, is he was talking about, and we talk about it on the show here. This is Hell Island. Okay. And this is Heaven Island. All right. Heaven Island. Okay. And our job is to figure out what is the best bridge. That's what he's talking about. Is the best bridge for them to fix it up and sell it? Well, it's kind of like this, right? This is the bridge. It'll get them there, but it's not the straight path, but it might be the best path for them. It just might be a little bit longer and take, a little bit more turns, and a little bit more unexpected situations arise. Sometimes it's just a nonsense bridge. It goes nowhere if they're going to just try to re-rent it out, or their cousin's going to buy it, or their relative or their neighbor. It just doesn't really go anywhere. And then we have to determine if our cash offer is the best, fastest, straightest bridge for them to go from their current state, Hell Island, this is just means a problem, to where their desired state is. Why are we talking here? Why am I in the house? Why have they made the decision they're going to sell their property? Well, there's a problem. They're having a problem. And so we have to be able to discover what that problem is by asking really good questions and making sure that we understand what is the path that you guys want to take, right? And you have to make people feel comfortable letting you know these things, because they might think that you're a shark, you're against them, you're going to try to take advantage of them or whatever else. They don't know yet, and you don't know what their past experiences have been with people that have negotiated with them, right? And so what we're looking for is, do they want the speed and convenience to take a cash offer to make it as smooth and as easy as possible for them to go from Hell Island to Heaven Island? But what Henry was saying is, sometimes the best path for them is listing the property because it's in good shape. Sometimes the best path for them is going to be renting that property out. That's what's best for them. We have to be able to discover that. But when we have a property and they want that gone, and it needs some work, and it has potential, but it needs significant investment, cash as is offer, baby. That's what we do, right? But we have to be able to give them those options, because when you give them the options, they will build the internal pressure themselves to make that decision. And when they make the decision themselves, they stick with that decision. It's when we go in there and try to pressure them ourselves, put external pressure on them, that all of a sudden they want to back out, they want to cancel, they change their mind, they went and took several different offers, all these things. And it turns into an absolute mess. Guys, if you are not subscribed to the YouTube channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button. If you got value out of this, make sure that you hit the like button. I think that helps whatever the brainiac or the computer system that's behind YouTube put us out in front of more people, so that we can have a bigger impact and help people avoid paying the stupid tax that I paid so many years ago, getting into this business pretty raw and just trying to hustle through it, and made a lot of mistakes along the way, which I learned a lot from. But if I can help you avoid a lot of the big mistakes, that would be awesome. And if I can give you the instruction that you need to go out and take massive imperfect action and go and find some great deals, that's even better. That's the whole point of this. So that is our show today. I hope that you enjoyed it. We do this every Wednesday. I'll bring in the crew to say goodbye to you. Guys, I could not do this by myself, or just be me just rambling and doing silly things the whole time. So on behalf of Luke and on behalf of Matt and Alejandro, we want to say that we love you guys. Remember to keep your house clean, protect your health, and increase your value to the world. You'll live a fantastic life. See you next week. Love you guys. See ya.